So, welcome everyone to our second webinar. My name is Stefan Reuter. I'm based in Abidjan and I am the representative of the German Water Partnership, and I'm based in Abidjan in the African Water and Sanitation Association. And I'm honored to share with you our housekeeping rules, which are the following. So if you want to ask to speak, you need to click on participants and then raise hand, as you can see in these pictures. Then if you want to unmute your mic, you need to click on the microphone. If you want to mute your mic, you need to click again on the microphone icon, and then for interpretation, you need to choose the interpretation function. This is the little globe at the bottom of your screen, and there you can choose your language, French or English. We have our interpreter with us, and if you want to share questions by written form, you need to click on the chat box icon. Maybe you will find it in the 3 dots, depending on the size of your screen. Okay, next slide, please. So we have also prepared all presentations in English and in French. So at the top of your screen, you will see in green the language that you are seeing now. For example, in my case, I see Alexandra's screen in French, but you also have view options at the right-hand side, and that you can choose to see the presentation in English also. So you can also choose the language of the presentation that you want to see on your screen. So thank you. That's all from me. I wish us all a very good webinar. Now I give the floor to Alexandra Dubois, representing GIZ. Yes, thank you, Stefan. Yes, it takes a little bit of time when you need to change slide, but it works perfectly. So, hello everyone, my name is Alexandra Dubois. As Stefan just said, I work at the GIZ. I'm also part of the Susanna Secretariat. This is the Sustainable Sanitation Alliance. So before starting our webinar, and before I give the floor to the different speakers of today, I would like to introduce very quickly our webinar series, because this webinar is part of this series, okay? So if you did not take part in the first webinar, which took place last month, this information is going to be useful to you. So the idea of this webinar series started in May during the Water Utilities Conference organized by DUEPA in Bonn. And back then, there were several operators, of course, ONAS, DUEPA, and also Waterworks, AWASA, FSMA, Aquafed, German Water Partnership. You can see their logos on the screen now. So all these organizations had the chance to talk, to discuss, and very quickly we realized, following the different presentations in the conference, that sanitation is increasingly important in the mandates and also in the functions of the different utilities and national companies. So that was kind of a positive surprise to us. But we also realized that those initiatives looked like isolated initiatives. And we saw that there was not a lot of exchange, that everything was organized like in silos. So that's why we said we really need to organize this webinar series on the engagement of water utilities in the sanitation field. So we wanted to gather 10 cases, first on Sub-Saharan Africa, because we decided to focus on the African continent. And so we are going to present in 5 different webinars these different business cases. So this is the second webinar of this series. So 4 cases will be presented, and the objective of these webinars are really to promote a dialogue, an exchange of the different stakeholders in the sector, but most of all, the staff of the different companies, municipalities, so the key stakeholders who are in charge of this service. And as you can understand, we really want this webinar to become an exchange platform. We want it to become a learning platform among the different operators. And so after the first webinar, we took good note of your feedback. And so now we will have more time for interactions and for questions and for discussions. So today, in today's webinar, we will have plenty of time for our discussions. So please be ready to actively take part in these discussions. And that's all from me. And now I'm going to give the floor to our moderator, Mr. Musa Sek from Afwasa, to start officially our today's webinar. You have the floor. Thank you. Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you, Stefan. Good morning, everyone. I would also like to thank our dear partners, thanks to which we are all here gathered in this very interesting webinar. And I would also like to say that the management of sanitation in our region is a main challenge because of different factors such as the demographic growth and the limited resources. Many African countries today are facing a problem of accessing to good quality sanitation services. And of course, the rapid urbanization is not favoring the facilitation of access to sanitation because there is an increasing growth on the needs. And African cities today are facing challenges such as the inappropriate planning and also the lack of treatment systems and services. And to this, we need to add financial challenges because we know that the implementation of these sanitation systems requires very important investments in terms of infrastructures and maintenance. So having said that, in order to meet these needs and to meet these challenges, we are implementing several initiatives. This is why we are going to have with us 2 very important experts in the sanitation field, one coming from Burkina Faso and the second one from Senegal. So we are going to see the experiences of these 2 different countries. And so we have with us Mr. Sanu Tontama. He is the Director of Sanitation Operations at the ONEA, which is the National Office for Water and Sanitation in Burkina Faso. And we also have with us Dr. Papa Samba Diop. He is technical advisor in the ONAS, which is the Senegal National Sanitation Office. And he is also a governor of the WWC, and he also chairs the Afwasa Scientific Council. So they have 20 years of experience and 30 years of experience. So they will share these experiences with us in their respective countries. So with no further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Sanu Tontama. You're going to have 15 minutes for your presentation. Then we will give the floor to Mr. Papa Samba Diop, and you will also have 15 minutes. And after that, we will have 45 minutes for our discussion and for our Q&A session. And finally, Alexandra will share with us the next steps. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Sanu Tontama. There's an open mic. Yes, so I was saying, I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Sanu Tontama. You have 15 minutes for your presentation. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Musa, for giving me the floor. Well, I've been introduced. My name's Sanu Tontama. I'm the director of the sanitation operation at the Burkina Faso's National Water and Sanitation Office. I'm going to share my presentation on the development of sanitation services in urban areas with the case of the ONEA, which is the National Office for Water and Sanitation in Burkina Faso. So ONEA, ONEA is an office which was created in 1985. It was on the form of a commercial company, but later it was transformed into a state-owned company in 1994. ONEA has two basic missions. A mission focusing the water, which is the creation, the management, and the protection of drinking water catchment, conveyance, treatment, and distribution facilities. And then also a mission regarding the sanitation, which is also about creating, promoting, and improving the management and the sanitation facilities for the removal of used water and excreta. Now, regarding the management, I would say that ONEA it depends on three line ministries. The first one is the ministry in charge of water, in charge of the technical aspects. Then the second line ministry is the Ministry of Finance and Budget, in charge of the financial aspects. And finally, we have the ministry in charge of public and semi-public companies, which is in charge of the management aspects. Yes, I'm hearing someone speaking. There is an open mic somewhere. Please mute yourselves. So I was saying that this ministry is in charge of the management aspects. Then we have, regarding our governance, we have a state ONEA plan contract on a 3-year basis, but we are now having a review, and we will have a 5 years annual review. So regarding this plan contract, we have some indicators regarding the performance of ONEA and also the responsibilities of each stakeholder. So we have these annual reviews to see which is the evolution and which are the targets that have been achieved in this framework. Then we also have the general meeting of state-owned companies, where all the state-owned companies present their results, etc. So this is an annual review also. And we also have a board of directors giving the main directions. And we also had the obligation of having 2 ordinary sessions with as many extraordinary meetings as necessary. But this has changed because now we are going to have 3 mandatory sessions per year. And of course, we also can have extraordinary meetings. Then we also have the ONEA Activities Supervision Committee, which is in charge of the accountability, because we have many partners, many programs. So once a year, we sit with these actors, with these stakeholders, and again, we share the results that we have obtained in terms of the indicators, etc. So this allows us to guarantee the good management and the good supervision. And then we also have the technical committee, or I would say the technical audits, to supervise this plan contract and all the reports that we publish, which are always also audited. Next, now in terms of organization, the ONEA has first the Directorate General, then we have 10 central divisions under the direction of the Director General, and then we also have 6 regional divisions, as you can see on the map with different colors. And in these regional divisions, we have the centers. And so each regional division is made up of several centers, and we have 58 of them. And we do not follow the administrative boundaries because in Burkina Faso, well, we have 13 regions, but we have 6 regional divisions. This means that some regional divisions gather 1, 2, or even 3 regions. Okay, but I believe that over the years we will try and work on that so that we can be also aligned to the territorial boundaries that we have at the national. Yes, can you please go faster? Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Okay, now regarding the anchoring of sanitation at ONEA, I'm going to share with you our journey. In 1985, we moved from the ONE to the ONEA. So we added this A, meaning sanitation. That was the decree number 85. And so we had this transformation into a state-owned industrial and commercial public establishment. And then it was transformed into a state company in 1994. And then we also have the implementation of the sanitation tax. This is a tax which is indexed to the water bill. So if you have a water tap in your house, you need to pay this tax, and this tax allows us to develop the sanitation services. So starting from 85 onwards, we started with this tax, but everything was not goal defined, because when you say sanitation, that's very large, that's very huge. And so we had this reform starting from 1985. So yes, as I was saying, we reformed the urban sector. And for example, we had an unclear legal and regulatory framework because there was a day-to-day interference by the state in the management, and there was a high mobility of CEOs and managers, and also the awarding of contracts was assured by the supervisory ministry. And also there was a creation of unprofitable centers all over the place. As I said, 58 centers, and they weren't all the time profitable. And so, for example, if I'm a minister of my region and I see that we don't have the centers that we need, well, I can ask for the creation of this. But as I said, all the created centers were not always profitable. Now, regarding the technical aspects, there was a low level of drinking water supply, particularly in large towns such as Ouagadougou and Bobo-Dioulasso. Then a poor continuity of service with numerous water cuts in hot periods and real crisis. Then we also had a low sanitation coverage rate, around 5%. And in the city of Ouagadougou, if you know this city, there were strong odors. And this is what resulted later in this reform. Now, regarding the financial situation, we had solvency problems, available value of 51 million in 1990, very low tariffs, which did not cover operating costs. And regarding our human resources, we had an unadapted staff administration. We had an overcrowded workforce, 649 employees for 30,000 subscribers. This was a ratio of 21 employees per 1,000 subscribers, and that was not good enough. And also, we had a monopoly logic with administrative customer management, and we were lacking actually a customer culture. So all this resulted in this reform starting from 1990, And these are the results of the implementation of the reform. We have some results at the institutional, regulatory, and legal level. For example, the clarification of missions. So now we were better able to prepare budgets, to allocate contracts, etc. And also in terms of management autonomy and accountability. And then at the ONEA company level, we were able to guarantee a financial viability of the company. We were also able to ensure a financial equilibrium. We had a total cost recovery and an improvement of the quality of our customer service and also of the service coverage. And so we were not in a monopoly situation anymore. So we really developed our customer service, and we also were able to develop this culture of cost control. Now, all these results allowed us to improve the sanitation. So starting from 1985, we had the sanitation tax, but we did not have a good management. And so we had sporadic actions, we were lacking planning of actions, and as I said, sanitation services are huge. And so we had problems of technical problems in terms of our sewage. But after the reform, we were able to improve our situation, and we also did a study in the Ouagadougou city, and this led to our strategic sanitation plan for the city of Ouagadougou. And of course, we also had new technological options, and so we could improve the quality of services. And so we had this strategic plan containing the main axes that we needed to work on if we wanted to improve the sanitation in our region, in this city. And then we also had the strategy for the city of Bobo Dioulasso. And in the past, this service was part of the technical directorate, but after 1996, that was transformed into a sanitation direction or department. So it had more power, and so we could really implement a new strategy for improving the sanitation in our country. Then we also had the National Sanitation Strategy drawn up in 1996, and it was revised in 2007 to produce the National Sanitation Policy and Strategy, or PSNA. Then we also had the evolution of our institutional framework to accompany this service development. And so here you have the changes in the institutional, legislative and regulatory, political and strategic framework. So for example, you see here this law allowing the right to accessing sanitation services. And we also had the evolution of different codes, such as, for example, the environment and sanitation code. So we had these codes already available, but this was not well managed. And we also had the General Code of Local Authorities. So this is to show that this regulatory framework evolved in a very positive way, and also the political framework also developed. That was very important. I don't have time to explain that, but we had, for example, the National Economic and Social Development Plan. Now we have the version number 2, and we also had the National Water Strategy and the National Program from 2016 to 2030, and also the National Sanitation Policy and Strategy, as I said before. Now, regarding the subsector, we ensured the coordination of the different activities. So the Ministry of the Environment, Water and Sanitation with the Director General for the Sanitation of Used Water and Excreta. So these are our results achieved. So first, we have improved our strategy implementation, and we were able to approve 62 national sanitation plans, which are now operational. And I said before that we had 58 centers, and for the first time now We have centers in which we were able to implement the sanitation plans, but we are working to develop this so that we can improve all together. And regarding the population and the services for the population, we have more than 463,000 sanitation facilities, including 210,000 latrines. And we have also built 4 sewage sludge treatment plants, 3 in Ouagadougou and 1 in Bobo Dioulasso. And we have now a total network of 140 kilometers with 1,445 users connected. Of course, we need more, and we have to work harder, but we have achieved important results so far. Now, regarding the financing, how do we fund all these actions? Well, the sanitation financing is based on the sanitation fee that I mentioned before. We also have the sludge tipping fees, as I said before, the state contributions also, and also for investments, the contributions from technical and financial partners. So, for example, for the latrine construction, well, we have the support of some partners, but also the contributions from the population. And now, I'm sorry, but your time is over. Okay, I'm just finishing. Please give me 2 more minutes and I finish. So now regarding the sanitation fee, 60 francs for households connected to the sewer. And regarding the industry users, it's 90 francs. But as a conclusion, I would like to say that these resources are not huge. This is just enough to covering the operating costs. So all investments are funding by TPF resources. Okay, so now these are our main challenges. We have the challenge of the financing, how to mobilize resources to finance the structuring investments included in our national plan. As I said, our targets are quite high because we want to reach 100% of access to sanitation by 2030. So the bar is quite high. Then at the organizational level, what organization should be put in place to better support and respond to the ever-growing demand? As I said before, the demography, which is increasing, and the urbanization, and how can we get the key stakeholders more involved? Now, regarding the strategy level, which is the strategy that we should put in place to accelerate the achievement of results, especially given the slow progress in recent years with these 1%, 2% rates. And then the SDGs advocate a service approach. What strategy should be developed to address all the links in the value chain? Now, regarding the outlook, we want to finalize and make operational the management concept for the on-site sanitation sector, with a particular emphasis on the sanitation value chain. We also want to find new financing strategy based on results. Then also, what strategy do we need to implement to mobilize more funding? And we also need to operationalize the recovery of treated sludge. And we need to continue seeking solutions to improve wastewater treatment at WWTPs and percolate treatment at FSTPs. And also we need to continue experimenting with innovative systems for treating fecal sludge. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Tontama, for this presentation. I believe that you shared with us a lot of information, and I know that you had many, many things to say, but time is limited. Okay, but it was a very interesting presentation. And I believe that there are many questions already for you. Now, with no further ado, I give the floor to Dr. Papasamba for your presentation. Go ahead. Thank you very much, Musa. And thank you also to the organizers. And also thanks to all participants. So I'm delighted to share with you our journey in ONAS in the water and sanitation sector, because we need to talk about sanitation, but also of this water subsector in Senegal. These are two sectors which go hand in hand, and so I'm going to focus on both in my presentation. So everything is structured around ministries. We have two line ministries, the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, and then we also have the Ministry of Finance and Budget. So we focus on these two ministries. The state is in charge of the investments. So we have these two line ministries, water and sanitation, and finance and budgeting, because this is also very important for investments. Now, the technical arm of the Ministry of Water and Sanitation is the national office, and we also report to these ministries. Next slide. So I'm going to talk about our reform in the water and sanitation service. There were many changes in this sector. So up to 1971, we had a system that was changed later because the government decided to create the SONEES. Later you will see that we had another institution called SONES with only one E. Now it's two E. Okay, so this is the entity managing the drinking water. Then from 1971 to 1983, we changed this company, and we had the management by the SONES with only one E. Then this company was split up in three entities. And for the drinking water management, we had two companies, leasing companies, and then the capital company with only one E, as I said before, Société Nationale des Eaux du Sénégal. And so we had the investment funding by the government. And then we had another important change starting from 2020, where Seno replaced SDE with a new 15-year leasing contract. So this reform was quite complicated because every time that we implemented a change, we needed instruments for that change. Okay, so the contract was amended several times. So the amendment 1 in 22, the amendment 3 in 2006, the amendment set in 2014. But this was necessary to better solve the issues, which most of the time were financial issues. Now, as I said, these reforms were complicated to be implemented, so we faced many difficulties. For example, at the political level, we had some issues. So regarding the sanitation and the water management, so we faced many challenges and issues, as I said, but we need to recognize that this reform had very positive results, not just on the drinking water services, but also because we were able to strike the financial equilibrium, and SONES was able to have this better financial situation. So that's what I tried to explain before the reform. We had the SONES with 2E, which gave place later after the reform to the Société Nationale des Eaux de Senegal, and then also the ONAS. And you see the objectives that we had regarding the sanitation. We wanted to catch up. Also regarding the drinking water, because if sanitation was managed inside or as a drinking water service, that was complicated. We also wanted to provide urban centers with appropriate and effective sanitation systems. Okay. We also wanted to ensure the financial equilibrium, and we also wanted to align with the development of new lower-cost wastewater treatment technologies. So during our journey, we really faced issues, and there were several attempts. So every time that we had a new instrument, we tried to join the sanitation management inside the water services. So there was a first attempt in 2010 at a public service concession for drinking water and sanitation in urban areas by the state and SDE, which was aborted because of a financially unsustainable business model. And then we had a second attempt in 2014. And in this case, also the attempt was unsuccessful due to legal constraints. And then 1 year later, in 2015, the state tried for a third time, and the ONAS, however, did not consider the time appropriate, because back then we were launching a lot of projects. We had a lot of financial needs, so the management of the company decided to leave this for later because the timing was not appropriate. So these are the ONAS missions. For example, investment planning and programming. So the state invests, and we need to plan these investments depending on what the state wants, depending on the policy, sorry. Then we also need to manage the project owner and the project management activities. Also, we need to exploit, to operate and to maintain the plants. And we also need to add value to products. And so we are part of this circular economy. So we really try to operationalize as much as possible our activities. And so we work so that we can mitigate the lack of energy in our country. And so with this circular economy, we try to meet all our needs in terms of energy. We are aware that we need to face new challenges, and we understand that we need to implement SDGs. So we need to do our best to boost this work. So in our office, I mean, at the beginning, the office was not in charge of the urban areas, but later we decided that yes, the office should cover all the Senegal territories. Okay, so now we have deployed our company, and now we have more than 20 decentralized services. And regarding our workforce, we have 132 managers I must say that, well, we also have different service providers around the ONAS, and 90% of these service providers work in exploitation and in operation and maintenance. And then regarding our coverage, it's not just the network, but also the studies, the master plans. And so, for example, we have 10 regional capitals, we have 26 departmental capitals, and 5 towns of strategic interest. So, from this point of view, Senegal is funding many studies. And so we have the master plans, and we also have several projects that we have already implemented. And so we do this with the hope of being able to accelerate these developments. Here you can see the assets in 2020. We have more than 2,000 network kilometers, more than 150,000 network connections, and also 111 pumping stations. We have, for example, 10,000 latrines, and now we are working on the dissemination so that we can cover more cities. And so we are really allocating very important fundings to that. Now, regarding our financial resources, we have this fee, but it does not cover our costs. So we need more resources in terms of funding. Today, we need to acknowledge that the ONAS is suffering from a loss of momentum. But we believe that things will get better because now we have this very good institutional organization. So now we have a better financial situation, so things are evolving. And the idea is if we change today the owner's status, maybe this is going to accelerate things because we need to raise more funds because we need to make sure that all these projects are implemented. This is why, starting from this year, so in 2024, next year, we are considering these changes. We believe that we need to enter a new era after 2024. We need to have an operation company and then a drinking water company, of course. We believe that we need to do something to try and boost our national utility, because we need to overcome the barriers which are preventing us from evolving and growing. And of course, we need to pay attention to the population's needs. And in terms of we need to make sure that our activities are manageable, but we need human resources. We need funds. So everything has to be there. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. And I hope that now in the Q&A session, we'll be able to give you more details regarding the drinking water or the human resources and the studies. So I hope that this Q&A session will allow us to elaborate our comments. But just to finish, I would like to say that Senegal decided to separate water and sanitation, but not completely. So it's a separated management, but both things are still linked. And I hope that you understood that message. And before the moderator asks me to end, I would like to say that last year we already had several elements for us to suggest a PPP. And so we had the possibility of fund several projects. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, for your patience. And I'm so here for you if you need me. Thank you very much, Doctor. That's a very nice presentation also. A very interesting presentation, as in the case of Burkina. Now for Senegal. Before we give the floor to participants, I have one or two questions for our two speakers. We know that the reasons that led to all these reforms are the same in Senegal and also in Burkina Faso. And we also see that your journeys are different. So my first question regards regards something that you have said. You said we need to treat the sanitation as something very important. And I would like to know what inspired the splitting up of water and sanitation in Senegal, and what are the benefits or the positive aspects or the lessons learned up to date? And that's the same question I want to ask Mr. Sanu. The fact of treating both things at the same time, water and sanitation, do you think that this is a limit for the maximum development of sanitation? So first, Mr. Dr. Papasamba and then Mr. Sanu. Yes, that's an essential question. That's the difference between ONAS and ONEA, because because they have added sanitation to the water, but we wanted to separate them. But yes, regarding the technical aspects, we saw that sanitation today was a small service inside all the leasing activities of our entity. We did not have the means, nothing. But the state said, no, we need to pay attention to this subsector of drinking water. We need to develop the sanitation, and so we need to develop the sanitation, and one day maybe we will consider giving this service to a leasing company. So that was the beginning. And there were many criticisms, people saying that's not possible, we don't have enough resources, but as I said, well, the state is guaranteeing this transformation and with these investments. And this allowed our national utility to grow. So now people are trusting this more, and also the population has very good experiences. So many positive things. And I believe that this explains the evolution of this. And I would say you need to dare to split up these two services so that they both can be well developed. And that's what we are trying to do in this sense. Mr. Sanu, you have the floor. So the fact of having both services together, isn't this preventing you from progress as you want to progress and to evolve? Yes, that's a very interesting question. For your information, we're reflecting on creating an agency in charge of hygiene and sanitation. So I believe that very soon we will start the studies, and we already did a benchmarking in our agency because we also had bad experiences. We know that in some situations this hasn't worked well. But as you have seen in my presentation, we have a problem in terms of balancing the expenses. So the fees that we get do not allow us to cover the charges, the costs. So even if we had this split up, even if we had a very strong state policy for the resource gathering, it's going to be complicated. So yeah, sometimes we complain, but also the drinking water sometimes helps us, is beneficial. It's not, of course, a lot of resources, but sometimes the fact of having this together is positive. So yes, to answer to your question, yes, we are reflecting on this splitting up, but for that we know that we would need a very important resource mobilization policies. Otherwise, we will never get the expected results. So that's my answer to your question. Thank you. That was very clear. Now I'm going to take another question, which is very important one for both of you, which is regarding the two strategies. We see that today you are in a service delegation logic, so you want to give more space to the private sector, whereas ONEA keeps everything under its power. So, Mr. Sanu, what's your opinion? Do you think that there is hope? Or the ONEA is considering also to follow this direction or not? Thank you. That's a very interesting question. And you'll see. So the service development is the one that will impose the arrival of this private sector operators. So we realize that if we do not integrate the private sector, it's going to be very difficult for us to develop our services because we do not have enough resources. So we will need the private sector anyway. So we need to invest on our centers, but we cannot manage this with our current staff, for example. So we need to attract the private sector towards sanitation services if we want to develop this sector. And we need to also structure this sector because, for example, well, we are trying to help the operators now to get better structures, but we lack a good organization, and if we do not improve everything will be very difficult. So we really need to work with the private sector if we really want to get the expected results, because they have many things to contribute with. Thank you, Mr. Sanu. Mr. Samba, yes. You know, when you want to delegate services, of course, you do not decide this one day when you wake up. You need to reflect on many, many things. You need to make sure that the company that you will choose will be able to give the same quality of service that you do. For example, in terms of the network, we started to delegate and to transfer some tipping activities, for example. Then this evolved and we gave them more and more competencies. So we started to delegate more and more activities, and now we started to introduce, for example, is the same things that we did for the autonomous management. So this is a long process, and the ONAS staff is there to ensure good control. But yes, we need to welcome this private sector around the ONAS activities. And so today we can move on to the following level, and we'll be able to work with these private sector operators. They are doing an excellent work already, and we're going to continue working to improve the quality. So we are still loyal to this delegation strategy, yes, and one day maybe we'll have an infrastructure and asset management institution which will be really robust, and this will be very beneficial for the sanitation system. Thank you, Doctor. So before we open the floor, because many people are really waiting for asking questions, but one question about the fee. We see that ONEA is applying this fee or this tax to all the water users, but in Senegal, you just apply this to the cities that have these sanitation services. Do you think that this is the best possibilities, or what are your reflections around these models? Yes, this fee system is a concern in Africa. Politicians reflect many, many times and for a long time before they implement these fees. So yes, as you said, the cities with sanitation are those which pay the fees. And cities without sanitation services, they don't pay. That's true. If today the state wanted to boost these services, well, all urban centers with water services should pay this fee or this tax. If we did this, I can tell you that we would never have this problem, this financial problem. But as I said before, this is the state. The state needs to consider if this is important or not important. And there are social aspects and economic aspects. Yes, of course, in terms of the investment, etc. Yes, I'd rather have this other system. And I believe that in Burkina Faso, I hope that Samu will also explain this. So when people have water services, they pay this fee. So if we had the same system in Senegal, things would be even better. Thank you, Doctor. Okay, now I'm going to give now the floor to our participants. I will allow them to enter our discussion. So please raise your hand if you want to ask one question. And I know that there are questions in our chat box, but I'm going to give the floor first to the participants which will raise their hands, okay? So I see Mr. Usman Diallo. You have the floor. And then Mr. Sudesh Adepa. Mr. Usman, go ahead. You are muted. Mr. Diallo, your mic is muted. We can't hear you, Mr. Diallo. No, we can't hear you. Well, in the meantime, we are going to give the floor to Sudesh Adepa, and we are going to go back to Usman later.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah. I am from a ego foundation, like our digital public infrastructure called Digit. So I have a called Digit Sanitation. To sanitation can you,
Yes, hello. My net is Sheikh Ahmed Tidian, and I work in the Institute of Ouagadougou, and I have a question. Which are the pros and the cons of the ONEA management system as an office which is managing water and sanitation as one service? So which are the pros and the cons? Yes, we're going to take 2 or 3 questions and then we will answer to them. And then now I'm going to give the floor to Malignan Diaye. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes, hello. So I'm a student at the University of Dakar, and I have 2 questions for Dr. Diop. My first question is the following. I would like to know which are the sanitation services that you offer in an autonomous way. I would like to know which are the services around the access for users. My second question is regarding the fee or the levy. You said before that when cities have sanitation services, the inhabitants of this city need to pay this levy or this fee. And for example, if I see cities here around Dakar, all population pay this fee. This means that those families which are not connected to the network, well, they need to pay the fee, and they also need to pay the transportation and the sewer costs. So what do you think regarding the equity principle? What's your opinion and regarding these aspects in your policies? Okay, we're going to take these 2 questions and then we will go back to the participants for their questions again. So Usman, I'm going to give you again the opportunity. Usman? No, he's not here anymore. Alexandra, vous avez la parole. You have the floor. No, that was a mistake and I don't know how to take down my hand. Okay. Sudesh Adepa.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah. So yeah, I'm Sudesh from Ego Foundation. So we have a platform called Digit. It's a digital public infrastructure, and in that we have something called Digit Sanitation. Uh, Using this Digit Sanitation, it is a platform. By using Digit Sanitation, you can digitize the sanitation process or operations and management. So we would like to we would like to understand or help to the we would like to work with South block and contribute for the sanitation mission. So can you please connect with us some potential partners through which we can work in Senegal, or can you please share your email ID so that I can send you details after this meeting? Yeah,
Now we're going to give the floor to Mr. Sanu and then Mr. Papasamba. Mr. Sanu? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Musa. I believe there is a question for me. Which are the pros and the cons of our model? And I believe that, well, this is something that I explained in a way. For example, if I take the pros, Well, we have a shared management in terms of drinking water, in terms of resources, and when there is an issue, well, the other part is ready to help us. So that's the main advantage that we take from this. And even the resources that we get are indexed to the bill. And so when one component has a problem, the other component is there to help out. So now regarding the cons, sometimes we have the feeling that the sanitation is a bit marginalized because we focus most often to the drinking water, and so we feel that we do not have all the resources that we need to develop the sanitation services. And also we see that politicians, of course, prioritize drinking water because, of course, the population needs to have drinking water, and they believe that sanitation can wait for later. So that's a disadvantage that we can say. So as with everything, there are pros and cons, but essentially the main problem is that even if we split up these two aspects, these two components, if the politicians do not have a good strategy for mobilizing resourcing around sanitation, we will not be able to move forward. Thank you. Thank you for these clarifications. Yes, regarding this question, I would like to say that if the system is split up or not split up, there are things that we need to consider, and I'll explain myself. Today, we need to focus on planning. And so in our case, we plan the water services and also the sanitation activities. But even if the services are split up, planning activities are really crucial. And this is managed by the ministry. Okay, so even if at the lower level activities are split up, they are managed at the higher level by the ministry. So it's the same thing. So I believe that we need to make sure that each activity is remunerated by itself. That's crucial. Because if we lose our time in activities that are not self-remunerated, well, I think that the sanitation services will never be developed as they should be. So we are trying to have an organization which allows us to achieve that. Now, regarding the question on equity, of course, in urban areas, everybody pay the fee, but then in the periphery, it's not the case. So some people say that everyone should pay, but if we think in terms of the impact, when we build a treatment plant in a city, even if you're not connected, since this is going to have an impact on hygiene, you're going to benefit also from this treatment plant. And I'm going to give another example. If we take, for example, a city, well, then you cannot go and see which is connected and who is connected and who is not. So the most important thing is to have this global view. In some African cities, you have connected families, not connected families, connectable families. So we do not differentiate like this. In Senegal, we consider all the population because even those who are not connected, they also benefit from the infrastructures that are there. So that's our principle. Thank you, Musa. Oh, no, wait. I believe that there was another question. Yes, the question regarding the platform, the digital platform. Yes, we also are taking part in many partnerships, and yes, so I'm happy to share with you my details. So yes, we can try and see. Of course, this can be beneficial for all of us. This benchmarking also can be very interesting. So yes, we are ready to take part in this type of collaboration. Thank you. That's all from me. Okay, we see in the chat box another question to Papa Samba. How do you integrate this sanitation perspective? This is a question to both of you. Yes, today the state policy is the following. In terms of autonomous sanitation services, is the following. If, of course, we now have the financial possibilities, but today we see that the trend is to build integrated systems. So everything has to be inclusive. So people need to express their needs in terms of technologies, etc. Today, we have a very important program, and we are in contact with them, and there are very good results in this term. So now we are founded because our model takes into account all these aspects. Thank you, Musa. Do you have anything to add? Yes, regarding the CYs, yes, we integrate that because we were lucky enough to have in Burkina Faso our institute, and we did the study in the framework of this program mentioned by Dr. Papa, and now we are trying to train craftsmen and we are integrating the CY's concept. Yes, this is something that we do. It's true that we just started recently, but it's mandatory for us to include this aspect in our strategies and our policies. So we are experimenting with this and we are testing this, and I think that everything is going to be okay. Thank you. Two questions, Patricia. Patricia, are you with us? I believe. Yes, I'm here. Go ahead. You can ask your question. Thank you very much. Yes, I had written it in the chat, but I have a question for ONEA. What is the percentage of population living in the rural areas, and who is in charge of water and sanitation services in rural areas? And my second question is, how do you manage the access to service for displaced populations who get to the urban or peri-urban centers, and also in rural centers if you have them? Thank you. Mr. Sanu, can you please answer to these two questions? Yes, thank you. Regarding the population, I cannot give you a precise number, but I would say that we have more rural population than urban population. But regarding the management of services in rural areas, I mentioned the TGAUE. So they have different regional departments, and one of these departments, regional departments, are in charge of the rural water and sanitation services. and so they are in charge of the sanitation infrastructures, construction in these rural areas, etc. Also, well, we have drafted a strategy for urgent cases, for urgent situations, because we are living many crises, and also with NGOs and ourselves, we intervene with NGOs, and some NGOs are in charge also of building infrastructures for these rural populations. But as I said, we just drafted a document, and we have stated already what we should do in urgent situations to serve these rural populations, how to assist them in case of a crisis or something, or an emergency situation. Yes, I would like to mention something which is important in this question regarding the population movements. It's true that economy grows in cities, around cities. So regarding toilets, so for this urban population, so we need to combat open air defecation, because of course people need to have toilets, and in urban areas that's good, but what happens in rural areas? So we need to combat open air defecation, and this is something to consider. This is not, well, the focus of our discussion, but in Senegal, in some cities, if you pay attention, you will see that there is still this open air defecation, and you see it quite frequently. Then we need to do a very good work to understand the motivations of these behaviors, and then also we need to make sure that we have the resources for people to have toilets, and this in big cities, but also outside big cities. Thank you. There is a very important question for Burkina Faso asked by Stefan, but also by someone else regarding the biogas extraction. Sandrine and Stefan talk about these biogas generation plants. So what's the current situation, and which are the experiences with the innovative technologies that we have now, for example, which is the situation in ONEA and Annabelle? Yes, thank you, Musa. Well, this plant was developed thanks to the support of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That was a pilot experience to show that with this type of waste, we can create new resources for energy generation. So we created this plant, and in terms of energy, we produce 1 megawatt, 7-hour generation by day, and so we could connect this to the public grid. And so today we can send this energy to the public grid. It's true that there were some difficulties, because at the beginning we started to operationalize the production, and we had a technical issue because the co-generator had some problems. There was a piston which was broken, and at the national level we still do not have all the competencies so that we can repair this motor. And now we are working or talking to a third company so that we can fix this motor to continue with the production. And we also have a steering committee in charge of these biogas activities, and so the energy that we produce is sold to the energy company, the energy utility. But we have some issues because when we take into account the development of the solar energy, we want to align to this, but technologies are different. So it's difficult also to establish the price of energy sold to Sonabel. But well, we'll see. And I hope that by the end of this year, we will be able to have again this energy production available. Thank you very much. I'm afraid we are reaching to the end of this session, but Stefan, you have raised your hand. Stefan? Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add, Mr. Tantama, I understand that you have some difficulties in terms of the price fixing. Which are the recommendations regarding new plans? Because there are many companies which are organized through the APAC. They also want to develop sludge treatment plants. So which would be your recommendations to get to agreements with them? Do you have any lessons learned that you could share with us? Thank you. Thank you, Stefan, for your question. Of course, we have some lessons learned since the beginning. When we started with this project, we decided to work with the main operator in our country, energy operator. So they followed all the stages, but I would like to say that back then, there were, of course, the context had an influence, but the context was different. The business plan was shared with them, but throughout the time, because we encountered some difficulties that I will not mention here. So I would like to say just that the context has changed. And now this is a public-owned company, and it also want to get some benefits to strike the financial equilibrium. Okay, so of course I'm going to try and fix the better prices for me. Okay, so for example, solar energy is more interesting than biogas energy. So we need to see. The biogas, of course, allows us to solve different problems such as sanitation and hygiene problems in the city. So yes, we need to make sure that we master everything to improve the situation for the environment. Now we have freed up this market, but well, as I said, the context has changed. Maybe if we now had the possibility to this to the private sector, that would be even more interesting because costs would be more competitive. So these are factors that we need to consider, but it's important to have with you these partners, and at the end, that's how you will get this consensus situation, which is expected. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Tontama and Dr. Papasamba. Thank you for the quality of your presentations. We've seen two very nice experiences, very interesting experiences of national utilities in the sanitation fields. We've understood that you had very important issues, but also many solutions. We have seen technical innovations. In Senegal, we have different processors, and also in Burkina Faso, this biogas treatment plant. So many interesting things, and we encourage everyone to continue this discussion with the different network platforms and also the Susanna platform. You can continue to discuss on these aspects, and also in the AFWASA, the specialist groups from AFWASA, focusing on the sanitation sector, and these specialists are really very dynamic people. And so do not hesitate to continue these discussions. Okay, and I'm inviting you to join these groups. So if your organization is not a member of AWASA yet, become member of AWASA so that you can benefit from these dynamics and these exchanges. Now, to wrap up, I would like to thank the two speakers and all the participants. Thank you very much for your participation in this webinar. Now I'm going to give the floor to Alexandra to share with us the next steps. And thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Musa. I would like to inform you that all the questions that you have asked in the chat, we were not able to answer them all, but they will be collected and they will be transferred to this Zana forum, as it was mentioned, and we will try and answer them as much as possible. Okay, very quickly, regarding next steps. Here you have the calendar of the following webinars. We will meet again in 1 month time with the third webinar to share with you the experiences of water utilities in Zambia, Ghana, and they will share with us some startup experiences. We will see the situation of these private companies. Well, we'll see what's the situation there. Then we will have a break for the end of the year festivities, and so we'll have the number of webinars 4 and 5 in January and February. The titles haven't been decided yet, but we will share case studies from Nigeria, South Africa, Mali, Zambia, and Tanzania. Okay, we also invite you to stay tuned in our Susanna forum, and you will also find the presentations and the video recordings of all webinars, including this one, today's webinar, in this website. And Mr. Musa has mentioned already the different ways for you to follow up and to get involved. So if you want to get more involved, you have many possibilities. You can take part in the Susanna Forum discussion group, which was mentioned previously. You can ask more questions, you can share your comments, or continue this discussion. And same thing for the working spaces managed by the GWOPA. It's very easy for you to join. Same thing for AFWASA and their specialist group. And if you want to stay tuned, do not hesitate to take a look at the afwasa.org website. And also you have the FSMA toolkit around autonomous sanitation. So all these links will be shared with you through the chat box, and also the presentations, today's presentations and the recordings. Everything will be available to you in some days' time in our Susanna website. And on my behalf, I would like to thank Mr. Sanu and Mr. Papa Samba. Thank you for your excellent presentations. That was extremely interesting. And also your answers to the questions posed were very important and interesting. I would like to thank also Mr. Musa for the very good moderation. Mr. Musa is part of the Avoisa, and so I would like to also thank our host, Avoisa. Thanks for sharing your experience around bilingual webinar to the service of this series. I think that that was a success, so thank you very much, and we really thank you a lot. And of course, last but not least, thanks to all participants. Thank you all for your participation. Thank you for your contributions. Very right contributions. Thank you for your interest in this subject, and we really can't wait to see you again for the following webinars. So I would like to thank you. Very good rest of the day, and see you soon. Maybe we can take a family photo, a group photo. Yes, please turn your cameras on so that we can take this family photo, this group photo for our documentations. Yes, I would like to see how many Alexandra Dubois do we have here? Yes, please stop sharing your screen. Right. It's good. Very good. So our team will take some pictures. Thank you. Thank you. Continue to get involved. Tonight you have the possibility to send communication proposals for the conference in February. We shared this in the chat. So I wish you a very good day, a lovely day ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.